What's up, everybody? YouTube.com/Watch Stadium. This is Rivals Down South. And I am one of your hosts, T-Bob Hebert, former LSU Tiger, which means, yes, I'm trying to make heads of tails. What the hell is going on with that LSU Tiger defense? And I'm joined by a former Georgia Bulldog, ESPN college football analyst, Mr. Hudson Macy, also 680 The Fan there in Atlanta. Hudson, what's up, brother? What's going on, man?
What's going on, T-Bob? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited. Thursday, okay, we're kicking off another weekend of college football. I'm fired up. We got a lot to get to today, okay? Remember, you get your comments, youtube.com/Watch Stadium. We'll get to them during the show. But a lot to get. 3 ranked-unranked battles in the SEC, Hudson. 3 of them, okay? We got Bama A&M, Kentucky, Georgia, LSU, Mizzou. And it's funny, I'm kind of looking at the weekend slate. I'm saying, okay, let's see what the other conferences have to offer. Let's see what the Big Ten, how many ranked-unranked games the Big Ten's got going on this week. Let me see here. Okay. Nebraska, Illinois. Okay, how about Rutgers, Wisconsin, Howard, Northwestern, Purdue, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota. Whew, Hudson, that is a trash-ass schedule if I've ever seen one. And, well, it's appropriate because earlier this week, Jake Butt and Joshua Perry, the boys from Red Corner, Blue Corner, well, here's what they had to say about the Southeastern Conference.
People are scared to play Vanderbilt. Nice one. South Carolina, oh my gosh, I am shaking in my boots. Auburn, who you struggled with, my friend. I bet you there are teams everywhere scared to play them. Ask Penn State about them the last couple years. Were they scared to play Auburn? Doesn't look like they were to me. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's a cope from a coach because his team hasn't looked good. 21 points he gave up to UAB. Why don't you rank them as well, Kirby?
No conference gets more credit for
the bare minimum
losing to each other than
goodness.
The SEC. And that's one thing that I just can't make sense of at this point.
Woo! How about it, boys? 6 ranked teams. LSU's 3-2 and has the worst defense in college football, and they're still ranked. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, the people have spoken. The Big Ten just kind of sucks.
That's wild to me, right? Like you literally just admitted, right? 45 to Florida State, 31 to Arkansas, gave a 55 to Ole Miss. Defense, you don't even have to have a pulse to score on those guys. 2 losses still in the top 25. That's all bias. And this is what it tells me. People don't even watch football. They just see SEC and just make assumptions. It's ridiculous to me. But go ahead and wear that. I know that's your alma mater. Congratulations. You get a participation trophy. How about it?
I'd love to be one of the teams the ranked teams that loses this weekend. Somehow the voters say that that's a good thing. The SEC's set in stone at this point.
No, look, here's the deal. The truth is, nobody wants to watch Iowa. They want to watch Jane Daniels throwing 6 touchdowns while losing 55-49. Okay, one thing is sexier than the other. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, look, y'all went to Big Ten schools, so a lot of people like to think that means you're more academic and you like things like numbers and education. Well, how about this? Bill Connolly from ESPN, he's a very good advanced analytical system he's created, the S&P Plus, right? In a single sentence, it's a tempo and opponent-adjusted measure of college football efficiency. And let's be clear, the SEC is down this year, but 12 of the 14 teams remain in the top 41 of S&P Plus. The Big Ten's the opposite. They got the best 2 teams in the country. They got Penn State at 13. But they got 2 teams in the 90s, 5 more outside the top 50. Like I said, boys, y'all are top heavy right now.
Listen to this. I went to a state school in the middle of Ohio. I don't give a damn about your numbers, so you can go ahead and throw those away. All right? Watch the games. That's all I'm asking people to do. Like, the idea that Tennessee, and I understand what people thought they were going to be, and Josh Heupel is a great coach. I'll give you that. They ain't the same team from last year, right? Like, I don't understand why people still think that they're worthy of being in the top 25. You want to talk about watching guys throw touchdown passes? Talia Tungavailoa, the quarterback at Maryland, should be in the top 25 right now. An undefeated team. People like to watch him toss touchdown passes, right? So if that's going to be the measure there, why aren't they in the top 25?
Yeah, T-Bob, that's a whole bunch of numbers. I can't follow it. Let me just make this quite simple. And Hudson, I want to ask you a question. What's your opinion on Clemson this year? They've struggled a little bit. What do you think about Clemson?
Nah, Clemson's garbage,
good.
dude. They're awful.
Exactly. Exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Clemson's garbage
Go
because
ahead.
they're 3-2, right? Just like LSU, their losses are better,
Yeah.
including an overtime
Go
loss
ahead.
to a top-ranked Florida State
Fire
football
'em up.
team. How about a
guys.
Week 1 loss to a top 25 Duke? Thank you, T-Bob. You
Guys.
proved my point.
Guys. But LSU's ranked. Clemson's not. So I don't know what y'all are talking
Exactly.
about.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Hudson,
Oh
what
my
about this,
gosh,
Hudson?
people
What
don't even
about
watch the game.
Look, Hudson, you're a Georgia guy. Georgia, Michigan play today. Who wins?
Well, I feel like there needs to be a voice of reason in all of this. So here I come, right? Neutral site, Georgia, Michigan right now. My guess is Michigan would be favored by 2, maybe 2.5. I think they have owned the line of scrimmage. They've played more consistent football. I think Georgia's got some question marks. Now, look, you could put both these teams up and talk about strength of schedule. I feel, in my honest opinion, I don't know a whole lot about either of these teams right now. But on a neutral site, I bet it would be Michigan -2, -2.5.
Jake, what happened? What happened last year when Michigan was like a big favorite against TCU in the playoff? Like golden, just a golden opportunity to win a natty. What happened?
Yeah, what are we talking about last year? Like the point it's this
My man living in the
year.
past.
It's this year.
That's crazy.
And I'll tell you this, actually, if you want to talk about last year, you have to learn from the sins of yesterday, and I believe Michigan did. In fact, they were without their star running back, Blake Corum. They were without some guys from a health standpoint. They've improved from that loss to TCU. So, yeah, neutral site this year, Georgia, watch out. It's not going to be easy
since they
sailing.
like numbers so much, right? 81% returning production from Michigan. Those guys have showed up this year. How about that for numbers?
Look, I got no problem with Michigan, Ohio State. Look, we have to talk about Ohio State, Bama next if we're going to do another hypothetical. Now, the Crimson Tide have kind of had Bama's number, even though, look, I kind of hate Alabama. I was super happy that one year when Ezekiel Elliott and the boys put it on him. I was a bar full of Alabama fans.
I was one of the
watching them
boys, by the
surrender
way.
Cobra.
I was one of the boys,
Oh,
by the
hell
way.
yeah. Let's go, Joshua. That was a sick dude. I love you. That was a great night. And look, this year, admittedly, I would absolutely take Ohio State over Alabama. I'd have some questions about Kyle McCord going against that Bama defense, but the point is, it's not really about that. It's when you get into the Rutgers of the world, the Wisconsins of the world, more like Wisconsin. Because what if we had Mizzou, Wisconsin today? Brady Cook and Luther Burden would cook him up. Okay, serve him up in Como, dude.
Not exactly convinced about that, my friend. I mean, we could play the hypotheticals right now. The Wisconsin's coached by a guy who coached me in college, and Luke Fickell. He's a phenomenal coach. He's got those guys playing hard defensively. They've been able to stand up, have taken the football away, even though they've given up yards. Like, that's a winning plan to me.
This is also where the perception matters here, because you say Rutgers as if Rutgers is the Rutgers team of the past. This team's playing damn good football right now. They're playing great defense. The running game's come along. Their young quarterback, Wimsatt, has taken steps. I'm not saying they're about to compete for a national championship, but the film says that's a damn good football team. You completely left out Maryland, who should be ranked. Then you'd be talking about a ranked matchup in the Big Ten. That's a high-flying offense and a defense that's been playing damn good football to start the season, too.
Second best turnover margin in college football, Maryland Terrapins.
We didn't even talk about Penn State.
Since you guys like numbers so damn much.
Look, man, I like Costco Tongavaloa as much as the next person.
That's it.
I really
That's
do.
it.
I mean, no, dude, I love him. Talia's great. It feels like he's been playing football for 17 years.
He kind of has.
And
He's got another
putting up
year.
Great numbers, dude. He's got another year. God, COVID's so
Dude,
crazy.
the COVID year thing is crazy. Maybe that's one thing we'll agree on. The COVID year thing is wild to me.
But here's the deal, boys. Okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you really want to win this conversation, this is the year when the Big Ten's got to do it, okay? Because if you look at the last 14 years, you got 4 SEC teams hoisted national championships, right? Alabama's got 5, Auburn's got 1, Florida's got 2, LSU's got 3. They've all got – the Big Ten has 1. Ohio State since 2000. Shout out you, TP, but still.
I just want to say
what's
real
Michigan?
quick,
You got to get it done?
In 2012, that should have been an Ohio State championship. We had a bowl ban that year, but had we been eligible to go to the postseason, it would have been Ohio State and Notre Dame. Alabama would not have made it. That's what the BCS had. So just understand that one of those championships is because we had dudes over there getting tattoos and trading their gear, which NIL exists nowadays. So it's wild to even think that was a problem back then.
Yeah.
T-Bob, I hate to tell you this, too, because you think this is the year for Big Ten. I would be remiss to remind you here, the Big Ten's expanding, and they're adding some big brands in the future, so they're getting even better. Watch out for that one, T-Bob.
Hold up now. Okay. First off, I was morally and ethically disgusted when I heard about those trading tattoos.
Sure.
Okay, so you got what you deserved.
I was a freshman. I didn't deserve anything.
The very fabric of our country was falling apart the second people started getting free tattoos.
Absolutely.
Okay, so don't even hit me with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, you're adding some teams, but guess what? The SEC is too. I just heard y'all talking about a couple of them. Big Triple R, the Red River Rivalry, just a couple of SEC teams chopping it up, a couple more ranked SEC teams.
Yeah.
So you take USC and whatever that Trojan defense is, take 10. UCLA and its empty Rose Bowl. And
Washington,
the SEC is
top 10,
fine.
Oregon top 10. We'll just take all of them. That's fine. Yeah, we'll take them.
Okay, we go. Look, we go see. We go see because we are here officially at the birth of the Uber Conference, right? And now that the hostile takeover of television of college football is complete, we are going to continue to get banger after bangers. I demand, and Jake, this is going to hit you especially hard, and you too, Hudson, actually, we're keeping it objective. But I demand that we eliminate these cupcake games. I know it sucks for the economics of these small schools, everything else, but economics rules the day, okay? Everything's about TV money. Everything's about advertising. So it's driven everything in the sport. Every single Saturday, we should be getting good matchups. We should have Big Ten versus SEC showcases. That's the college football future that I want, boys.
I agree with you. And say that to SEC too. Add an extra conference game. Do away with that cupcake right before your rivalries. Look at the Big Ten schedule going forward. It was just released. There's no cupcake schedules at all.
I agree. The SEC has to get to 9 games. We just got to get Mickey to open up the purse strings, okay? Mickey Mouse, the house. Like, come on, Disney, where you at, dog? All right. Hey, Joshua Perry, Jake Butt, thank y'all so much. Red corner, blue corner. Enjoy that excellent slate of Big Ten football. Me and Hudson got some ranked on ranked games. Look, the bottom line is the only thing I fear right now out of the Big Ten is a late night call from Mel Tucker. When we get back here, Rivals Down South, we're talking Red River Rivalry. Keep it locked right here on Stadium. What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to Rivals Down South. Had to take out the trash just now, Hudson. Get them Big Ten boys the hell up out of here, because we're talking SEC football. And, well, interestingly enough, we're going to continue to talk SEC. Oh, what's going on?
I was just going to say, that was great stuff. I just need a popcorn, man. But thanks for carrying me.
Look, I'm not the smartest, but I know how to be loud, and I watched a lot of wrestling growing up. So that's kind of my wheelhouse right there. So what's interesting here is we're going to talk about probably the biggest game of the weekend, the Red River rivalry. You say, T-Bob, you just said you're talking SEC. Well, guess what? We are talking SEC, because next year this will be an SEC game. And when you're talking Triple R this year, number 3 Texas, number 12 Oklahoma, it's the first time since 2011 both teams have been ranked. And the thing that I keep going back to, and it's both A&M and OU fans are in a bit of a tough spot here, Hudson, where for years now, Texas has sucked. Like, Oklahoma has been significantly better than Texas for over a decade. And yet, all of a sudden, everybody's treating Texas like they're the big dog. It reminds me a bit of the prodigal son, right? Texas has been out there. They've been smoking drugs and getting fat and doing bad things. And Oklahoma's been here like winning Big 12 championships, making playoffs. And yet all of a sudden, Texas gets sober for a little bit. They're losing weight. They got a good job. They come back home, and the parents are getting the fattened calf ready for them. What? Come on, man. Oklahoma should be angry. Oklahoma should want revenge for that beatdown Texas handed them last year. Hudson, what do you think happens here?
Well, I mean, I want to start where you kind of just ended right there. Last year's game, I mean, 49-0. And I know what Oklahoma fans will say is, yeah, well, we didn't have Dillon Gabriel, but you know how that affects this year's game, T-Bob, is I just keep asking myself, like, is Dillon Gabriel going to make up for 49 points worth of, I mean, is he worth 49 points? And my answer is no. Now, this Oklahoma defense is much better. It's one of the more probably not talked about topics in college football this year is Brent Venables has these guys playing some great defense. But to me, the ceiling for this Oklahoma team is at quarterback. I think Dillon Gabriel's a good player, but I look out wide, and I think they've got elite talent out wide in about 3 receivers. And I just ask myself, like, I see a ceiling more on Oklahoma at quarterback than I do on Texas. And so I like Texas in this game. I think they are a complete football team. They're one of my teams that if I took Georgia out of the number 1 spot, I would put Texas right there. They are a line of scrimmage team. And I like Texas in this game because of how complete they are and how much they've dominated the line of scrimmage this year.
So the Dillon Gabriel thing's real interesting to me because it kind of, like, if you just look at Gabriel and yours, it is representative of the entire matchup in that Oklahoma has the better numbers. Like on paper, Dillon Gabriel has better numbers than does Quinn Ewers. But Texas has Texas has the best resume in the country. Like, if you look at the combined record of Texas opponents, it's 17-9. No one else even comes particularly close right now. So it's a question of what is more real, right? Are Oklahoma's numbers real, or is it just because they played worse opponents? I think Texas wins this game, but I think it's very close. And you mentioned the Oklahoma defensive improvement. That was the most head-scratching part about last year. How do you get Brent Venables, a guy who has made his name on defense, and you're as putrid as they were last season? Well, anything but this year. They haven't allowed a single rushing touchdown. They've got 10 picks on the year, which leads the country. I believe they may lead the country in PBUs as well, which is going to be critical going against these excellent Texas receivers. So again, I think it's close. I think I actually teased up Oklahoma to +7 here. The only thing that I got to see, and because we don't have a lot of great stats to kind of dictate this, is you called Texas a line of scrimmage team, and I agree with you. That's where their advantage lies. Now, Oklahoma forces a ton of havoc, right? I mean, a ton of TFLs on that team. Texas is going to have to deal with that. But when I just look with my eyeballs at the film, the Texas offensive line and defensive line appears superior to that of Oklahoma. And so I think that's probably the difference here. If you look at a guy, and you mentioned having to try to shut down this Texas attack. You look at a guy like Xavier Worthy, tore them apart last year. 261, 2 touchdowns, 9 catches. Have you seen enough improvement out of Oklahoma's secondary to deal with someone like Worthy?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, you ask yourself, okay, what's the quality of competition? And have they seen through the first 5 weeks of the season anybody that resembles Worthy? And the answer is no. And I think we're fighting through all of that through college football. Michigan's schedule, Georgia's schedule, right? I mean, we're 5 weeks into the season for some of these teams, and much like Oklahoma's defense. You're going, man, how much can I believe out of these statistics? And the answer I keep coming back to is not a whole lot. I'm a firm believer that like you need 3 conference games under your belt before you start kind of reaching some verdicts and truly being able to believe how good these teams are. A lot of these statistics are kind of skewed by inferior opponents, but I think the most fascinating conversation, T-Bob, becomes if Texas wins on Saturday, do they become the number 1 team in the country, regardless of what happens with Georgia against Kentucky? And I think the answer is yes. I mean, even if Georgia wins and blows Kentucky out, I know people are reluctant, especially voters, to move an undefeated team out of number 1, and it would be against a ranked Kentucky team. But I would have no problem with moving Texas to number 1 because they would by far and away have the best resume. I mean, and the best road
Yeah,
win. And you got to put a value on going to Alabama and winning, plus this win against Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think no doubt they would have to be number 1. Ruben says the secondary is still a problem for Oklahoma. The issue just never seems to leave them. Well, it seems like it has thus far this season. So we'll see here, Ruben. What is also interesting, last thought here, is that this is probably going to be the first of 2 matchups. Like, I think these are clearly the best teams in the Big 12. I think they're going to refine each other in the Big 12 championship. So just realize this may be the first joust with one coming down the road. But either way, whoever wins is going to be in the driver's seat from here on out. All right, when we get back here, our rivals down south for the 2nd straight week. So cause for concern for your Georgia Bulldogs there, Hudson. And we'll share some overall conference worries. Keep it locked right here on Stadium. What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to Rivals Down South here on Stadium. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us in the chat. T-Bob Abear, Hudson Mason with you today. Let's break down some weekend worries when it comes to the SEC. Some big games this weekend, one of which is Georgia-Kentucky. It's in Athens. Big advantage for Georgia there. Hudson, are you more concerned with Georgia's slow starts offensively this year, just 17 points in the first quarter, or their run defense going against one of the best rushing attacks in that of Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm more worried about the rush defense, and because it points to really a deeper problem with Georgia, and that is the line of scrimmage. You can't watch Georgia through the first 5 weeks and convince me that Georgia is the same, both offensive line and defensive line, and that is really the main catalyst and the main reason why they've won back-to-back national championships. So I think you can overcome slow starts. But the rush defense, even last week against Auburn, giving up 200 yards for the first time since 2018, that worries me more.
Will Brady Cook outshine Jaden Daniels with how bad LSU's defense is? Here's what I would say on that. Let's be clear. Both of these quarterbacks are good on bad this weekend. They're the top two highest rated passers in the SEC. When it comes to EPA, just a great single metric to judge how you're doing on a play-to-play basis. Both Mizzou and LSU have pass defenses that rank in the hundreds. Okay, so both quarterbacks should feast. Luther Burden is going to murder LSU, but so is Malik Neighbors, so is Brian Thomas. I'm giving the edge to Jaden Daniels simply because he's got the experience over Brady Cook. Brady Cook's done it for 3 games. We've seen Jaden Daniels do this more over a career, and he is just so locked in right now. Cannot wait for Como this week.
Slam the over.
Hudson Mason.
Slam the over.
Yes, slam the over. Yes, I agree. Hudson Mason, T-Bob Abear, Rivals Down South, Shout Out Stadium. We'll see you tomorrow as we get you ready for a weekend of college football.